Los Angeles, January 7th, 2025. The city was already in the grips of a relentless drought, its hills and mountains dried by the unforgiving California sun. The winds were picking up, whispering danger as they swept down from the mountains, carrying with them the promise of destruction. That morning, as the sun broke over the horizon, no one could have anticipated the catastrophic event about to unfold. The fire, dubbed the Inferno of Hope, began as a small, unnoticed spark in a remote area of the Angeles National Forest. But by the time the fire crews responded, it was already too late. The fire spread with a terrifying speed, consuming everything in its path. Among the first responders to the scene was Captain Andrew Hayes, a seasoned firefighter with over 20 years of experience. Hayes was known across Los Angeles not only for his heroism, but also for his calm demeanor in the most dangerous situations. On this particular day, he was leading his team on what was expected to be another routine fire containment operation. But nothing about this fire was routine. As Hayes and his team arrived at the outskirts of the forest, the scale of the blaze became apparent. Towering infernos reached up to the sky, creating a suffocating cloud of smoke that turned daylight into dusk. The air was thick with heat, making it difficult to breathe, and the sound of crackling flames was deafening. But Hayes, ever the professional, immediately began coordinating his team. He barked out orders, directing his firefighters to set up perimeters and prepare for a long battle. He knew this fire was different. It was fast, unpredictable, and merciless. As the hours passed, the fire grew exponentially. The wind picked up, turning the fire into a roaring beast, devouring everything in its path. Emergency calls flooded in from all over the city as people in nearby neighborhoods evacuated, but not everyone was able to escape in time. The fire was closing in on the urban areas, threatening thousands of lives. The pressure mounted on Hayes and his team as they worked tirelessly, trying to protect homes, businesses, and anything they could salvage from the fiery storm. In the midst of the chaos, a critical call came through. A residential community was in the direct path of the fire. It was a neighborhood with narrow roads and densely packed houses, and many people had become trapped, unable to flee. Hayes didn't hesitate. He ordered his crew to head toward the neighborhood immediately, fully aware of the risks they were about to face. As Hayes and his crew approached the neighborhood, the scene was like something out of a nightmare. Thick smoke filled the streets, and flames were already licking the edges of the homes. People were running for their lives, some frantically trying to save their pets or belongings, others simply trying to escape the deadly grip of the fire. Hayes could see the fear in their eyes as they fled, but he remained focused on the task at hand. His mission was clear: to get as many people out as possible and to ensure the fire didn't claim this part of the city. Hayes and his team rushed from house to house, knocking on doors and urging residents to evacuate. The heat was unbearable, and the flames were closing in. As the team worked, the fire began to shift direction, driven by the unpredictable winds. A few blocks away, a massive propane tank exploded, sending a shockwave that sent Hayes and his crew tumbling to the ground. The blast knocked out communications, and for a brief moment, Hayes lost contact with his team. But he didn't have time to check on them. His duty was to the people of the neighborhood, and that's where he focused his efforts. Hayes led a small group of residents to safety, guiding them through the smoke and chaos to a nearby parking lot. But when he attempted to return for more evacuees, he realized the fire was closing in on him faster than he could react. His crew was still on the other side of the block, working to save others, but the fire was spreading rapidly. As Hayes moved through the flames, he found himself separated from his team, the heat growing more intense with each step. By now, the fire was no longer a controllable blaze. It had evolved into a raging inferno, swallowing entire blocks of the neighborhood. Hayes knew that time was running out, and there were still people trapped inside the homes. Determined not to leave anyone behind, he made the decision to make a final push. He risked everything, charging back into the heart of the blaze to rescue one more group of people he could hear screaming from behind the thick wall of smoke. As he approached the home, the heat was unbearable. The windows shattered as the flames ripped through the structure, and the roof began to collapse. Hayes, undeterred, rushed inside, coughing from the smoke, his face and hands burning from the heat. He reached the family, guiding them through the fire-ravaged house, all the while ensuring their safety at every turn. But just as they reached the door, the house collapsed, trapping Hayes inside. For a moment, it seemed like all hope was lost. But as the flames roared around him, Hayes, through sheer force of will, pushed forward. He used every ounce of strength to crawl his way out from the rubble, leading the family to safety just in the nick of time. As they emerged into the open, the entire street was engulfed in flames. Hayes watched as the homes he had fought so hard to save were consumed by the fire. Hours later, when the fire was finally contained, Hayes was found collapsed on the ground, severely burned but alive. His team had managed to get him to safety, and though his body was badly injured, his spirit remained unbroken. The city of Los Angeles would later honor Captain Andrew Hayes as a hero, not for his bravery on the front lines, but for his unwavering commitment to the people he served. His final stand had cost him dearly, but it saved countless lives. The Inferno of Hope would eventually be remembered not only for its destruction, but also for the courageous acts of those who fought it, and none more than Captain Hayes, whose last stand became the stuff of legends. It was a reminder that sometimes true heroes don't need capes, they need courage, and sometimes they pay the ultimate price for it.